Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Networking with Nathaniel. This is episode 30. Whoa.
Dude,
It's kind
30.
it's
Whoa.
kind of crazy to think about. Yeah, we've been doing this for over half a year now. I have the pleasure of being with Andres Nobili here.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah, hey, I appreciate you joining me, man. Andres is in has been in Sub 2 for a little over a year and a half now, August of 2022. He's based out of Chicago, but primarily is doing deals in St. Louis. I forget, are you a realtor? Are you a licensed realtor?
I'm not. I'm
No, okay.
just an old investor.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. He's doing some interesting things. I haven't actually heard of anybody who's doing this yet. He's buying properties off the MLS, rehabbing them, and then turning around and wholesaling them or selling them as turnkey, rental properties. So this is a pretty cool thing that I haven't experienced yet. But before we get into that, man, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for joining me. How you doing today? It's 2 o'clock-ish your time.
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for asking. And funny, we're kind of recording here in the middle of winter, but it's 70 degrees outside in Chicago right now, and I just think that's unheard of.
Yeah.
But I'm not complaining. Like
No,
I'm wearing like a short sleeve
yeah.
shirt, so we're all good, you know?
I have to put, I
It's
put
good
my
right now.
collar on for the podcast.
Oh,
No, this is just every day around the
I
house
forgot
wear.
mine. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
So tell me, what kind of what brought you to Sub 2? How'd you get started? And then, I want to definitely dive into what you're doing right now, but let's start at the beginning.
Yeah, so it's a lot. I guess it's a kind of a long journey, but make it short. I'm a nurse by trade, and during COVID, I guess I had a lot of time to think. Yeah, I won't disregard the fact that I was busy, working on the floor, but on my off days, because there was nothing to do, everything was closed down. You had time to kind of reflect on your life and your goals and things like that. Um, which really was a time that a lot of people did during COVID. Um, but I was thinking about, my financial future and things that I wanted to do to uh, that, would bring me purpose in life. And that would be like retiring my parents and paying for their retirement. They're immigrants and they
Mm.
worked very hard. They came to this country for, bring me a better life. So, I just want to find a way to give back to them and kind of find a way to where we're not, we're at least me and I'm single right now, but I imagine that I'll have a family one day, a wife and some kids. So, this work I'm doing now is for them, and I'm hoping that I can bring them a better life too. So that's really, I guess the reason why then I uh, thought of real estate, and I know real estate. Obviously people are watching this kind of already know that it's a great means to build wealth, and so that's why I'm here. And I was listening to a lot of like podcasts, reading books, and I was watching the Millennium Podcasting Real Estate 101. They have like uh, well it's they have like a different podcasts, and one of them is titled Real Estate 101.
Okay.
It's with Millennial Investing. That's like their company or what the group that they call themselves. And what's that guy's name? Robert Leonard. He's the host of this podcast. So I was listening to his episodes. He would bring in a lot of great guests. We're talking about prominent guests that have been in the real estate game for a long time, or have been super successful. And of course, one of his guests was Pace Morby. And so I don't know, out of all the episodes that I listened to from his podcast, Pace Morby's episode was the one that just like lit so many light bulbs in my head, and everything like clicked, and I understood very well what Pace was explaining about creative financing and things like that. So it got me hooked and got me excited, and of course I somehow find my way into joining the community. It was kind of by accident. I didn't even know he had a community. I just clicked a few things, signed up for like something online, and then boom, like I got a call like, hey,
Oh yeah.
want to join our community? I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, why not? So yeah, that all happened in August 2022.
Okay. And we're at this time, had you done any deals? Were you doing deals, or was this like kind of the starting point, the jumping off point?
Yeah, that was the starting point.
Okay.
I was my original approach in real estate was going to be different because as a nurse, I'm travel nursing right now. So as a nurse, I could um, jump from place to place, like and house hack.
Okay.
Uh, kind of live in like buy a duplex, live in one unit, rent out the other, or
Yeah.
fix it up or whatever. And then as soon as that's done, you rinse and repeat the process. And like I said, as a travel nurse, I can travel. So, if I buy a couple properties in one market and I find something else in a different market, I'll just go fly over there, work there, and do the same thing. Like I'm not stuck to one place.
Hmm.
But I guess once I joined Sub Two, Paige showed me that almost anything is impossible. Anything is possible in real estate.
Yeah.
Nothing is impossible.
Yeah.
You know, hence the I guess we think about creative financing, but you can use the word creative honestly in anything and make a deal out of it,
Mm.
from your traditional standard way of thinking when people, think of real estate, think of, getting a mortgage or conventional loan, you
Yeah.
rent it
Put a
out,
big down payment.
you put a big down payment
Yeah.
and things like that. But no, you definitely learn, um, at least definitely with Pace, that there's many ways to do real estate.
Yeah. That sometimes can
So
be an issue actually, because we call it shiny object syndrome. There's just so many different things that you could do.
yeah, yeah. So it definitely, I guess that, on that topic, like the process kind of humbles you too, all the hard work that you have to put into figuring out, a nice system, working system, because there's a lot of moving parts in real estate. It's very unlike, buying a stock where you just click the number of shares you want and you send your money and then there you go, you have a stock.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, if you're a really good stock owner, you would you'll jump into those quarterly meetings for the company to keep track of their performance as a company. But with real estate, um, there's way more. You kind of are the company,
Mm.
as the owner of this property. And if you have multiple, you kind of have to then realize that you have more moving parts. Um, but what's great about that is that you have more control over your investments and potential for higher profits than what a stock could give you.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're buying GameStop when that whole Reddit thing happened. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
Oh yeah.
yeah. Uh,
Yeah, or Nvidia just now like
oh yeah.
their stock went up crazy too just
That's
recently because of
it's
AI.
funny you bring that up. That stock is one of my biggest regrets as far as purchasing stocks go.
Purchasing,
I
yeah.
forget when I bought. I bought it back in like 2015, and I
Yeah, yeah.
doubled or whatever, and I was like doubled, pulling out, and then it like tripled and quadrupled, and oh my gosh! But yeah,
I know.
I wanted
Same with
to.
Tesla, man. We're
I
on the
wanted.
same regret boat with that one.
Yeah, I wanted to go back because you said something interesting, which I hear all the time from people is why they do what they do. Why do you work so hard? And you hear my family, my kids, I want to build generational wealth. Like you're thinking so far into the future. Well, not hopefully not so far in the future, but you're thinking into the future with for something that you don't even have yet. You don't have a wife and kids, but you're like, I want to set this up so when they do come along, when that perfect fit comes, I already have these pieces in place, which I just want to commend you for. That's amazing.
Thanks, man.
You're younger, I think. You look really young.
Yeah, I'm 27.
Yeah, 27, so like, I don't when I was 27, I wasn't thinking about my future, that's for sure. I was thinking about my now and going out and partying and stupid stuff. But I wish I think I mentioned this to you on our first phone call that we had together, man. I wish I had your future thinking drive that you have
Yeah.
in your mid 20s. That's pretty incredible, 25-year-old spending the money to join sub two, never having done a deal before, and then turning it into what you're kind of building right now, which what a segue there.
Yeah, I know. That's
You're
perfect.
yeah.
10 out of 10 if I had a time.
Yeah. So you're doing you're combing Redfin, Realtor, Zillows, those those MLS listing places and finding deals online. Are you kind of self-representing? Are you like what does that kind
No,
of
so
look?
I do have an agent that is
Okay.
my boots on the ground in the market. So um, her name's Savannah, and she has contacts down there with the company she works with, and is also in connection with a general contracting team.
Okay.
And so I kind of just use that team right there. That I came across and through Savannah and from with all them we they are kind of my boots on the ground.
Yeah.
So Savannah is like my advocate is my voice. She advocates for me when I acquire property. She's the one that helps bring in the or schedules. Um, well, I should just say she kind of is just my representation down there. Um, there's a project manager that, of course, is the one that's bringing in contractors into the properties. But at the end of the day, Savannah is like my direct contact in
Okay.
overseeing projects down there,
Yeah.
the whole acquisition process, I should say.
And how did you end up in contact with Savannah?
Just I guess doing some research of companies down there.
Okay.
Um, it was I found her pretty quick, so it didn't really take much. But
Okay.
I think what is part of the the hard work is like developing the relationship, because she already has her own business, and
Right.
I'm here coming in with nothing, and she
Yeah.
doesn't know me, and she could think the worst of me, think like I was just another guy that for sure, hire me, but she's got other things going on, right? She's making money as an agent, closing deals, and so it definitely required due diligence on my part, kind of to show her that I'm a committed investor, and I'm looking at these properties. I'm having these conversations with her, kind of sharing my mindset, sharing how that I am knowledgeable and the way I underwrite my properties and comp them, and that she's not just talking to just anybody.
Right.
So kind of make it where it's worth her time to work with me. That took definitely a couple of months of doing of sharing some properties with her, because then again too there's a learning process I have to consider of learning the market. So although I was finding property, I didn't even know where I was looking
Right.
exactly. I was just trying to like shoot her some samples and be like, hey, what did you think about this one, blah blah blah. So it took like a couple months of that just to finally find my first property that we got under contract. And even then, it's been like 6 months, and I'm still learning a lot about St. Louis and the market. And I'm getting to that point where I really am fine tuning um, where I look exactly for my next flip, to not, I guess, waste her time, right? To kind of make the process more efficient.
Yeah. Well, this is yeah, so there's a couple things here that I love. Uh chasing the relationship is something that at least I hear a lot, rather than chasing a deal. And so you found an agent that you liked, and then you kind of, from what I hear here, is that you are trying to prove yourself to her that you're not just somebody who's coming and talking and then going to disappear and waste her time. Over the course of 2 months, I don't know how many times you talked to her a week, but it sounds like you were you were looking at stuff and then going, hey, let's talk about this. Like, let me pick your brain, you pick my brain, so we can figure out how we can kind of gel together. Because just coming in, calling, hey, Savannah, this is Andres. I want to buy a house. Can you be it? Can you do everything for me? I'm just gonna like send you a detail. Like that's not gonna work out. I would imagine.
Right.
So you have to put in the work to kind of prove to her that um, you're the real deal and you guys can do stuff together and you can learn and grow and make money together. So I think that's freaking awesome. And I love that you're taking the time to kind of learn your market and learn what pockets to go, to go away from and what pockets that you really want to kind of focus in. So, um, yeah, again,
And just
yeah,
to add another comment to that, it's one thing to like prove myself to her, but it was also another way to simultaneously prove herself to me as an
mm,
agent.
mm,
Um, and establish, I guess, a working relationship, because you can have a friend, you can have um, a wife and your kids, right? They're all people, but you
yeah,
have established roles with those people. You know who your wife is, and that have to be a husband to your wife, and your kids, you have to be a father. To your friend, you have to be a friend, right? They're established roles. You know what you're supposed to do. You know what they're supposed to do. So in this case, you know, we're establishing that role, that working relationship, and how that dynamic will work. And in the process, I learned how good of an agent she is. Because and I'll say that I say that because this condo I'm living in now, it's my home. The agent that helped me help me find it wasn't really that great of an agent. Like they're a good agent, but I did most of the work,
mm,
you know. And yet they deemed themselves, or not deemed themselves, they are the number one or number two is one of the other realtor here in Chicago that helped me buy this place. And I mean they weren't terrible, but I just felt like all he did was like send me listings
yeah,
through email,
automated.
and I had to be the one to look at each one to see which one I wanted. I already gave him the criteria that I wanted. I told
Yeah,
him that I'm wanting this condo to not just be a place of dwelling in the beginning, but to be easily turned into like a rental in the near future. And I wasn't seeing that from him.
right.
He would just, throw me listings and that's it. And so being like a very new person at the time, not knowing much about real estate investing, just trying to learn, um, it wasn't the best case scenario, just kind of trotting on waters all by myself, so to speak, with very little guidance.
Yeah,
But with Savannah, I saw, in fact, she made a great impression very quickly with me, but it did take a little bit of time to get there. And I saw that she was, just a remarkable person, both in and out. And um, not that the out matters,
right. Yeah,
but
yeah,
I guess it's just an expression.
yeah,
But
yeah,
she's a beautiful person in the inside, and very knowledgeable, very very good track history. And she's been in the industry for a long time, and um very happy to take her time outside of her regular work hours to get you what you need and answer your questions. And I've seen her work on the weekends too, and I'm just like really impressed by her. So
yeah.
yeah.
That sounds awesome. The experience that you had with the one in Chicago kind of reminds me of, you. It sounds funny, but it's like a Disney thing. You got to kiss some frogs to find your prince, right? Um, if that makes
I
sense.
guess, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it makes sense.
yeah, sometimes you can get lucky and find your Savannah right off the bat, but I think, knowing the things that you don't want in a realtor or a wife, whatever helps you to figure out what you do want. So I think that's pretty cool. Um, as far as so you're buying a house off the MLS, your realtor Savannah is helping you, go do due diligence, get your contractors and things like that. It sounds like you also have like a project manager. Um, You're
Mhm.
going in and essentially flipping the house, correct?
Yeah. So Savannah and the project manager are a part of this company, and the company is it's a property management company as well.
Okay.
So that's kind of their business model. It's like a trifecta type of thing, and I guess it's a very it's what makes it very possible and um, very efficient that with the fact that it's all in-house and one under one roof, right? Those
Yeah.
three different services. I got the agent, the construction team, and the property manager. So kind of my job is I'm just leveraging that to build the back end or the front end, which is finding the properties, and then the back end is trying to dispo it. And yeah, essentially, you mentioned a couple of times, but yeah, what I'm doing is finding properties on the MLS. Um, and you would think that it's it's not the greatest place to go, but you can find deals.
Hmm.
And when you have a great agent, she can help you um, spot them or negotiate uh, negotiate them down to the right price for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I would just find that the property. I'll send her my initial numbers and estimates at first. She'll give me her feedback after she walks the property. And sometimes that includes disagreeing on a couple of numbers, maybe like, oh, the rehab looks like it's going to be more than what you told me, Andres. Or um, the ERV, Andres, I suggest you maybe bring it down by 5 or 10K because, yeah, for a variety of reasons. And so I kind of redo my numbers based on her suggestions and I come up with a final offer, and I just have her submit the offer for me, do the negotiations on what an agent does on her end, and then once we get an accepted contract, we go through the escrow process. And we didn't even mention this part, but on two of the deals that I've done so far, um, I have a PML covering the funds 100%.
Okay.
And so what that looks like is, you know, they're not just covering the purchase price, they're covering the rehab costs. They're not just covering the rehab costs, they're also covering the closing costs. And they're not just covering the closing costs, they're also covering the costs, uh, the interest payments basically
Okay.
that I owe to the PML.
Yeah.
And And at the end of the day, once I uh, fix it and acquire it, um, sorry, fix it and sell it, the deal would then pay off the PML, including the money that I borrowed to
Yeah.
pay the the PML. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
kind of
So,
had to sit there and think about it.
yeah.
What I just said.
No, yeah. So you've connected with a private money lender that is not only willing to cover the cost of everything, but is willing to forego their payments until the sale of the property, which is
Not necessarily foregoing. It's more like
postponing.
it's postponing
Yeah,
because
postponing.
they're getting paid, but I'm paying them through the money they let me borrow.
Right.
Um,
Oh,
so
okay. Mm,
yeah, and then then it just at the very end, once we sell the property, is when she doesn't just get the original principal that she let me borrow, but then also the interest payments
yeah,
that were made to her.
it's a pretty cool
That
setup.
that total amount. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty dope setup. This last piece of the puzzle, the sales part, is what interests me kind of the most because it's you've gone through the process of rehabbing and getting this property ready for it seems like just to go turn around and list it on the MLS. What caused you to not take that path and take this other path where you're seeking out investors who just want turnkey properties?
Yeah, so I guess for those to we're throwing a lot of details out there, so I guess to
Yeah.
help people keep track is, I guess we're down through the escrow process. So then after you close, yeah, you have the construction team flip, and then once they finish flipping, the property managing side of
Oh,
this
I see.
company,
Yep.
they put in a tenant in there for you. And once that tenant is in there, then that's when I start advertising it for it to be sold.
Yeah.
Now,
And
of course, when I run my numbers, I'm always making sure that I acquire property that's going to cash flow on the back end, because the way I'm buying these is I am making sure that, yeah, it's a good cash flowing turnkey rental for any investor that just wants to buy turnkey property. They don't want to do the dirty work of flipping. They don't want to um, find, I don't know, just do all the hard work. They just want their property and
yeah,
cash flowing, and they don't want to go find a tenant, right? The tenant's already there. It's kind of like a service, I guess,
yeah,
that's I'm trying to provide. And what was I gonna say? And so part of it too is once a tenant's in there and I'm reaching out to these investors who are looking for turnkey cash flowing investments, that takes out the agent on the back end of having to use them to sell your property. And so I'm also saving money in that way,
yeah,
and that's what's also helping make these deals possible.
yeah. So, okay, so, oh man, there's a lot. I got so many questions, but we have a limited constraint on time here, so I want to make sure that I ask the most valuable ones first. Um, yeah, how are you finding these investors that want it? And to call it a turnkey is almost doing it a disservice because it's not. You've put a tenant in place already. You've got property management in place already. This is like even further along than turnkey. It's like it's set and forget. Like just buy it and forget
Right.
about it almost, you know. How are you
Yeah,
finding these
exactly.
investors that like want to do that?
Well, I'm just using a site that I found, or at least it's through another community, kind of real estate community group. And so I'm displaying on them, but I do want to expand that because I don't want to just be dependent on that site.
Hmm.
And it's an internal site that they use, and so at some point I will be doing where I'm going to reach out to investors like yourself, just networking and talking to them, kind of create a buyer's list like how would a wholesaler would, and just this list will be tailored specifically for turnkey, and maybe even down the road, I have, the idea to create a similar website to put these listings on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like it's I don't know if you ever used like Investor Lift, like those kind
Yeah, it's kind of like
it's
investor
okay.
lift. Yeah.
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 That's pretty cool. Okay, so this is you're tailoring to a very specific target audience for this. Investors that don't want to do the rehab, don't want to have to find and source a property manager or tenant, things like that, which is cool because uh, a lot of what you hear is like narrow down your focus and really pick a specific target, and that's how you can create success, big success because you're learning the ins and outs of that little specific niche. So I really like this. This is interesting. When when one of these investors comes to purchase the property from you, are they buying it like conventionally? What kind of like are these just like like I got cash, I want to park it somewhere, or is it kind of all over the place?
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
Some come with cash, some are borrowing money from their IRA 401ks,
Okay.
others are just using hard money lenders and getting the DSCR loans.
Okay.
And I guess what's cool is that there's a tenant already in place, so it's going to be very easy for them to get that DSCR.
Yeah.
Because that's one qualification you need to have is making sure that you have a tenant that's um,
Yeah.
well, yeah, some hard money lenders want a tenant in place. Others, at least, they want like a contract that's signed and
Yeah.
a move-in date. So, but
Okay.
anyways, at the end of the day, they still want to know that there's going to be a tenant in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see them wanting to see a lease, like, okay, they're going to be there for a year. Okay, this is the rent. You're not just making this up. They've signed and put a
Right.
deposit down. Yeah. It's because for those of you out there, DSCR's debt service coverage ratio, they want to make sure that I don't know what the percentages are. I haven't actually done a DSCR loan at this point, but they want to make sure that similar to your debt to income ratio, you can pay the loan back. And so that the
Yeah,
rent is going to cover.
yeah, it's based on the rent, right? Instead
Yeah.
of your financials. They want to make sure you have enough for the down payment, of course. So they'll ask for bank statements and things like that.
Okay.
Um, but it is based on the the money that the property will produce based on the rents rather than your W-2,
Right. Yeah, okay.
right?
That's what I
So,
mean, and that's what the DSCR loans are great for is because they don't really care about what you're doing on the out. They just want that specific one property, that business. What's it doing? Is it going to
right,
be able to cover the debt and looking for long-term growth and rents and appreciation and things like that. So, uh,
exactly. Yeah.
we're coming to the end here, man. I still have some questions, but I want to respect your time. My kind of final question is going to be a little bit unrelated to all this, but still related. You're wise beyond your years, I want to say. A little,
Thanks,
for
man.
for the north. What is it that, besides the sub two community and these other communities that you're in, you mentioned this podcast, Millennial Investors Real Estate 101. Are there any other books, podcasts, things like that that you could recommend for somebody, getting started?
Oof. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few books. I mean, I,
Top
I
two or
hate
three.
to I hate to like state the obvious, but I think the Rich Dad Poor Dad one is a great one to start with.
Yeah.
I actually didn't read that one. I read the four quadrant one, the
Okay.
cash flow. I
Yeah.
forget what it's called. It's his next book that goes a little bit deeper into business and investments.
Yeah.
Um, I think that one was more practical. And so I started out with that one. But I think um, there's yeah, man, I can't hear it. If you give me 1 second,
That's all right.
I
Yeah.
have it. I have it here. I don't remember the titles very well. I'm very bad. I don't look at titles. I just like, okay, that's a book that I should read, and I just dive into it. Like I
Yeah.
can tell you the story, just not the title of the story, you
Okay.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. I'm like that. I'm like that with songs. Like I can't remember the
Yeah,
song
yeah,
title.
yeah.
I don't know.
Like
It's
you got
about
to
a
sing
girl on a
the
beach, I think. But yeah,
yeah, you like had to sing the lyrics just to
yeah,
figure it out. Getting out my Kindle here. Um, but I would say one thing for sure is, as I guess a little piece of advice for anyone who's looking for a book,
yeah,
is is just think about what stage you are in your journey into becoming a real estate investor, and find that book that is going to fit
mm,
that phase in your journey.
yeah, yeah. I love that.
Because I can tell you in the beginning, like with there was also another book I read, like The Giver or something like that.
The Go-Giver.
The Go-Giver, The Go-Giver.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, that's a good one.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like Rich Dad Poor Dad, The Go-Giver. Those are very mindset books,
mm.
and so that helped a lot in that stage. Um,
Yeah. I like
okay, here's
I like this
but
basing it on where you're at. And we have chapters in life. If you're just getting started, you shouldn't be reading how to scale from 1 million to 10 million. right?
Right.
That wouldn't make sense necessarily.
That wouldn't
But
make sense.
if you're already doing 10 million, you probably shouldn't be reading how to get started in real estate. So yeah, it's
Right.
interesting. Yeah. It sounds like you came up with a couple here.
Yeah, so it looks like I mean there's a few, but I'll mention one that I thought was gave me some good general knowledge. Is The Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Gary Keller.
Okay.
And then there's
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one.
the other one that I is How to Invest in Real Estate, and that's a bigger pocketbook.
Okay. I
It's
have it
a
on my bookshelf.
beginner's guide to getting started. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think those two. Because I think after I read The Go Giver, the Rich Dad Poor Dad, like I wanted something more practical. I was ready, right? I got the mindset. I'm ready
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And so those were the books that were a bit more practical that kind of finally got me to start becoming a practicer of real estate.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you giving me those. I will definitely look into the Millionaire Real Estate Investor because I have not read that one yet. That's the first time I've heard of it even.
Yeah,
Um,
there's definitely a couple gems in there you find. Yeah.
yeah, I love them. Just like, if I can pull a couple little nuggets out of it, then it's worth the time. And just reading is worth the time always anyway. So, I
Yeah.
appreciate you being here, man. What's the best
Yeah.
way
Thanks for having me.
for somebody to reach out, connect with you? If they have a deal to bring you, if they want to be on your buyer's list of, we got to come up with a name for these because turnkey's not quite solid enough. Turnkey, well, at least not in my head. Turnkey to me says this property's been flipped, it's renovated, there's nothing wrong with it, it's ready to go, it's turnkey. This is like, yeah, I'm gonna think on this,
Like
but
instant investments. I
yeah,
don't know.
instant key.
Instant key.
Key,
Yeah. Here we go.
yeah.
Instant key.
So yeah,
I
I
like
got
it.
long-winded in my question there, but like, what's the best way to reach out? I
Um,
know.
yeah, so you can reach out to me on Instagram. My handle is my last name, Nobili underscore my first name, Andres. So Nobili underscore Andres.
Okay. Yep.
Or Facebook, just type in my name, you'll find me.
Yeah, easy.
Um, you have a picture of me like that, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, just I'm a down earth guy, so just whatever means, just shoot me a DM and I'll respond back.
Yeah, awesome. I'll put those links in the description. I think you mentioned previously that you also have a Calendly. I'll get that and put that in the description as
Oh
well.
yeah,
Oh no, you
yeah,
sent me a blink
Calendly.
card. Yeah, you sent me a little blink card.
Yeah, I sent you my Blink card. So it has
Yeah.
like all my links on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, Calendly is a great way to if you're like one of those people that likes a scheduled call.
Yeah.
And I'm on LinkedIn as well.
I appreciate you, man. Any parting little nuggets for anybody trying to get started here or anybody looking to work with you?
I mean, all I can say
Put
is
you
just
on it.
um, don't give up.
Mm.
If you're already started or you're just getting started, you don't give up in the stage you're at right now.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah,
You
keep
never know how close you are to just exploding things and in a good way, exploding
right.
things, you know?
Yeah, or you're
Yeah.
just getting to the next phase of your business. You just
Yeah.
don't know how close you are, so just don't give up.
Yeah, you don't want to be every time I hear this, it reminds me there's this picture, it's a meme and it's like a little miner and he's like, he's shoveling it away and the diamond is right there and he like gives up, like you were that close,
Right.
you
You
almost
were
went.
that close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate
Yeah.
you.
And you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. It was a pleasure talking to you again. We're going to reconnect in the future. I hope you continue to do great things, man.
Okay, appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me here.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right.